I did want to make an announcement. 24-hour worship starts in here in Harbison Chapel tonight, this evening at 7 p.m. Come continue to do that, live into our call as God's people to remind one another and let the word of Christ dwell within us richly through our singing. So that starts again in here tonight at 7 p.m. Come and go as you please. You can just duck in the back or come up front, sing your heart out, and that'll be going until 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. This morning, we're continuing our Called to Create series. We've heard from Prof. Sweet the past couple of Tuesdays, and today he's joined by Professor Yvonne English, who serves as the Executive Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. She told me that takes up, 3 lines on a business card? 3 lines on a business card. Would you welcome them with me?
How's everybody doing today? Welcome. All right. Well, Professor Yvonne English, do you mind if I call you Yvonne?
I don't. You do, in fact.
I do, in fact, yes. Great. So you are the Executive Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. What is that?
Well, the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and we call it ENI for short, is really a center here on campus that exists to empower and equip all majors, not just entrepreneurship, to create a better world.
So, okay, you're saying all majors?
That's what
have
all majors, yes.
All right, so does the center have a physical presence, or is it just like in somebody's file cabinet somewhere?
Great
floor
question.
house? Yeah.
It did start in a filing cabinet.
Yes.
But we are now in HAL 202. It is the 𝗙𝗶𝗸𝗲 Family Innovation Zone. And this is a place where you can come and study or get together with teams. We have whiteboards. We have tables that move so you can reconfigure them. There are comfy chairs, a Keurig if you want coffee. We have water.
Is it free?
It is free.
Free, okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. We won't tell, like, the SAC.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's our little secret.
That's
here.
right. So students of any major can come and hang out, do work. They collaborate. What kinds of things happen in the center?
Well, it depends on the day. We do have a couple of classes in there, but when classes aren't in there, you can come. I've seen students sleeping. That's okay. That's allowed. You have to rejuvenate yourself for innovation.
True.
Also, teams. It's hard to find a place on campus to meet with teams, and a lot of you do a lot of teamwork, so I see a lot of teams meet. It's also just a place where sometimes students come to study and just be in a place where there's high energy for innovation and just being creative.
And you've got all kinds of brainstorming tools there, whiteboards, and all the tools they need, and that's open to any student.
Open to any student. We have Post-its, we have Sharpies, we have things to build prototypes. It's a lot of fun.
Great. So would you distinguish between entrepreneurship and innovation? How would you?
Sure.
How do you think about that?
Will you indulge me in an experiment?
Sure.
All right. Loosen up your hands. You're going to raise your hands, potentially. So how many of you want to be known as entrepreneurial, either by coworkers, friends, etc.? Can I see? Raise them high. All right, we've got some hands in here.
We did.
All right, now, how many of you want to be known as innovative to your friends, family, employers, etc.? Some hands are raising high, and I see more hands. So I find that interesting.
That's classic.
So there are a lot of definitions of entrepreneurship and innovation. And the way I look at it is innovation is about coming up with something new or improving something, right? You always hear that's very innovative. That usually means someone's excited because something's new or it changes their life in a certain way. Whereas entrepreneurship I really see as the ability to see opportunity, whether it's an opportunity to commercialize or the opportunity in a social venture to see how you can create a business model or sustainable model to serve a community. So I think often people think entrepreneurship is just about starting a business.
Yeah.
But it's wider than that. And really, in today's market, these entrepreneurial and innovation skills that we promote in the center are really important. The World Economic Forum actually had a study in 2016, and this blew my mind. They said that 65% of the students entering grade school are going to be entering careers that don't yet exist. So think about that, 65%. So you're here learning disciplines, which is very important, but you also want to learn soft skills and skills that are going to help you to compete in this type of ever-changing, quickly changing world.
So let's say we had a group of engineers that was working on a project. They are creating some kind of tool or some kind of device, mechanical or electrical. Would you be able to offer some assistance to a group of students that were technically oriented and knew how to build things, but were seeking some sort of commercial application?
Absolutely, great question. We have all kinds of competitions, programs, and events to help anyone who's looking to innovate or become entrepreneurial. In fact, we had a senior engineering team, 2013, where we had just started the Venture Lab program, and that's about really testing the feasibility of an idea. You don't have to come with a business plan or something built. You come to us, you apply with an idea, and we help you with funding, mentorship, coaching, to really see if that idea is feasible. And in 2013, we had a team come with our wonderful engineering department, and they said, you know, we want to see if there's actually a business here with what we're building for our senior project. And long story short, they are called 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝘀𝗰𝗍. They're in Pittsburgh. They have an office in Houston. They're looking at Austin. They're opening in Chile and Spain this year. They have just closed a round B funding for $40 million. They're
40 million pennies or $40 million?
That would be dollars.
Yeah, okay.
Their investors include Mark Cuban, if you know Mark Cuban, and Justin Kan, who is a founder of Twitch. Yeah. And really what they do is has a redemptive element to it. So
Wait. Okay.
Oh, let's talk redemptive.
So this is an engineering-oriented company.
Absolutely, 100%.
And first of all, we'll come back to the redemptive question.
All right.
What does the device do?
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it started, and of course they've expanded, but it started in coal-fired power plants. So if you go to a boiler of a coal-fired power plant, it's this humongous thing that's very dirty, and of course you want to keep it going because you want to keep the power going.
Right.
So every once in a while they have to inspect it. So they close it down, which costs over $1 million. They bring in a team of 10 to 12 men. They build scaffolding, thousands of feet up, and they hand inspect every single inch of that boiler. So there's obviously some human error at play, but also they've actually had men fall from the scaffolding and die. So this team said there has to be a better way to do this. And they built robots that actually scale the walls. You hook them to the pipes and scale the walls, and they do this process more accurately and quicker and with no loss of life.
Wow. So, all right, so that's the business. But in what way would that be redemptive? I mean, we're talking about being called to creativity over the last couple of weeks. But here's a really emerging engineering business is thinking about ways to have redemptive impact. What's that look like for that company?
Definitely. So Jake, you know Jake very well.
Jake 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝘀𝗲, yeah.
Jake 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗲 is one of the founders, and he thinks about this question all the time, especially scaling a venture with, they have over 120 employees now, and they're hiring by the week. The first part of it was, is there a way to do this in a way that honors human life and saves lives? And that was their number one thing that they were thinking about. But secondly, in a redemptive organization, we look at how we affect our employees, our community, our vendors, and he takes that really seriously. And I don't know if a lot of you were here to see John Hart. It's worth watching if you weren't here last Thursday. But John really talked about culture and affecting culture. So you can look at redemption and the redemptive edge in a way where a lot of businesses and people live for self, right? You want to be successful, you want to make money, those types of things. And then you have a tier of people who are really looking to improve themselves. They're looking for the ethical. They want to create an ethical company. And that's good in an unbroken, just world. And that's not the world we live in, right? So the redemptive edge that we talk about and that Jake thinks about and other companies that come out of our program think about is how can we die to self? In Christ's example, it may cost us a little bit from the bottom line, or it may cost us in other ways, but we're willing to make that sacrifice to contribute to something beautiful, which is joining God in the redemption of all things and contributing to human flourishing. And that's a tall order, especially when you have investors from Silicon Valley, mind you.
Yeah. So they were part of the Venture Lab program.
Our first
and
cohort.
that's your first cohort. And now you're in your, sixth, seventh year for Venture Lab.
Yeah, 7.
Do we have a lot of Grove City College teams that are working right now actively on some innovative ideas?
We do. We have 10 teams that we accepted. Wish we could accept more. We did have many more apply. But 10 teams are going through the process right now, and they're working with mentors and coaches. They met with John Hart when he was here to really poke at their ideas, to say, have you thought redemptively? And that's something that we do throughout the program. And of course, they met with you.
Right.
Professor Smith is part of the program, Professor Lewis. We just have a lot of mentors who are also coming in that they'll be able to meet with as well.
So if a student has an idea, it's like, I'd really like to explore this from it could be an accounting major, a management major, a STEM major, an education major. Can they come to you and ask you more about some of the programs that we've got?
Absolutely. The best place to start is our website, which is gccentreprenurship.com. There's a lot of information. While the application is passed, and obviously we have a cohort running, I don't want you to wait if you have an idea. If you want to come talk to me, there are things we can do to support you now to start you on your journey.
So you believe in getting students going now. They don't have to
Absolutely.
wait until they graduate, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is an environment, so we're providing possible funding, we're providing coaching,
Wait,
mentoring.
is that real money?
That's real money.
Okay.
Yes, it is real money.
All right. The school that pays you to study.
So this is a time when you can experiment with your ideas with a safety net, right? It's far better now with all of our guidance and funding for you to learn the lessons that you can apply throughout your life.
So we had John Hart here from Praxis, and he mentioned something called Praxis Academy. Tell us a little bit about the relationship we have with Praxis and what that means practically for our students and some of the opportunities like Praxis Academy. What's that
Absolutely.
about?
So we are what's called a design partner with Praxis. And what that means is we're the highest level partner you can be without actually hosting Academy.
And they partner with other colleges around the
Yes.
country.
Christian and secular colleges.
Okay.
Yes. So what Academy is it brings students from all of these colleges together. It's we go to Biola University. It's south of Los Angeles. And you spend a few days just steeped in this idea of redemptive imagination and redemptive action. So you get to hear from people who are out there in the world. Some of them have started businesses, some of them are running business, or some of them are just in business or in nonprofits. And you get to hear how they're actually applying this redemptive edge to what they do on a day-to-day basis. And you're steeped in workshops. And what's nice is it used to run on Monday through Friday, so it kind of knocked a week out. So those of you who have internships, that's difficult. So they've changed it to Wednesday through Sunday. And they've also provided us with a template for a letter that tells your employer what an honor it is to be selected. And it does not mention the faith aspect in case you work for a firm that wouldn't appreciate that, but it kind of just talks about the academic honor being accepted. Sure. And we have scholarships right now available. So you would only have to pay for your plane ticket, maybe see if your parents will give you some miles to get out there.
Right.
Everything else is covered if you get a scholarship. Applications are open now, and we have had students apply. So if you're interested or need more information, again, our website's the first place to start, but feel free to reach out to me and see what it's all about.
Okay, great. So anything new on the horizon for the Center for Entrepreneurship? Any new, obviously we'd like to practice innovation,
Yes.
right? If we teach innovation, we'd like to practice it. Anything innovative coming for our students here at Grove City?
We have a lot of new things in the pipeline. So we practice what we preach with regard to lean startup. And those of you who aren't familiar, it's basically where you pilot an idea and you test it and then you improve it based on feedback. So the latest thing is very exciting. We have Dr. 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝗀. Some of you may know her. She has taught in our communications department. She has written a book that's coming out with Forbes books in the fall. And it's on women in corporate America and intrapreneurship. So as I said, entrepreneurship is about finding an opportunity. Well, a lot of people, their job is to do that within a large organization. So we call that intrapreneurship or corporate entrepreneurship. So Jen is on a book tour, and as she goes to the different cities, groups of alumni are coming together, and she's going to do some customer interviews for me. And we are looking to develop a program maybe around mentorship with people in Fortune 500s, with women in particular, because that's her field of specialty. But we're also looking to interview these alumni to find out if there's an opportunity for lifelong learning. So all of you may, I'll tell you one thing that happens a lot because of my position. Grads will come back at homecoming, or they'll just send me a note and say, I majored in math, or I majored in sociology, and I'm running a business, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you help me? I get those a lot. So you never know. I know a lot of you probably think, oh, I'm never going to run a business, but statistics say that, yeah, a lot of you are going to at some point in your lives. I'd like to be able to support that. So that's something we're looking at as well.
Okay, cool. So where do you see the future of the center going? What kind of impact do you think you'll want to have, even 5 years out from now?
Sure. So this idea of redemptive entrepreneurship is really dear to me personally. I've spent a lot of time working with Silicon Valley in various capacities, and then of course I mentor with the European Innovation Academy. And my master's is in tech entrepreneurship. Yeah. So I've very much been part of that culture, and I always felt like there was something wrong. Because Silicon Valley can be a very godless place. The idols are money, success, user acquisition, exits, those types of things. And it wasn't until I encountered the language of praxis that I figured out the missing piece. And so for me personally, and where I see this center and where it really has resonated with our students, is the redemptive edge. And I want to see us get deeper into that, to see that integrated more, and to give our students more opportunity to explore that creativity and the innovation side of the house. We've done a good job at building the entrepreneurship side, as well as supporting the startup side of things, but I'd like to see innovation fleshed out a bit more in the center to give our students really easy, low-hanging fruit with regard to building their skills.
Now, the Entrepreneurship Program got some recognition, right? You referred to
yes.
having built something a couple of years ago. What happened?
Good question.
Yeah.
So basically, we, in 2018, or 2017, 2018, we were well known with other Christian organizations with regard to our entrepreneurship program. When we talk about the program, we talk about the center and the department, of course, together. And my goal and what we talked about was, it's great to be known in Christian institutions, but we're good. There's no reason to be in a subset. Let's get a secular award. So 𝗀𝗏𝗶𝗍, which is the United States Association of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, they're kind of the gold standard with regard to entrepreneurship education in the US. And I found out they had an awards circuit where if you applied, you would get feedback. And I thought that would really inform our strategy for the next 10 years.
That was your purpose, just to get feedback.
Just get some feedback. Yeah. We're going to spend 10 years building a program that's going to win an award. So I found out that we made it to the finals. Instead of getting my feedback, they said, okay, you're going to come present. And I was elated. And then I saw that I was going head-to-head with Florida State. So I don't know if you know much about Florida State. They're a little larger than we are. They had $100 million dedicated to entrepreneurship alone, and a building that they used for entrepreneurship and innovation. At that point, I had my office, which was the center.
And you had a file cabinet.
And a filing cabinet where it all started. And a little less than $100 million. So I did what any professional would do in that situation, and I busted out into tears and cried. So my husband said to me, look, you've got this. And it's because just tell the stories. And that's what I did. That's what I was armed with, the stories of our students and what they were doing in the world, the stories of our alumni and what they're doing in the world, and how our program supported that. And I went to present, and the projector broke down, no projector, and they told me before it started, you have 15 minutes, we don't care if the building's burning down. And so always practice your presentations. I presented, and the stories resonated, and we were the first small school to win the award.
Wow, fantastic. So we have national recognition. Let's give Yvonne a hand for that. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we'd just like to invite students to stop into the Innovation Zone, meet Yvonne, take advantage of the opportunities that are here. We really believe that you all have something very creative to do in this life, and if we can help you do it, that's great. Chapel is dismissed.